I'm going to sit back. Feel free to start either in a seated shape, unless you'd like to lay back down. That's really your choice. Okay, but I'll get situated here. Feel free to, if you decide to stay laying down to start your class, what does your body feel like today? You might use a pillow for the back of the head. If you're seated, you might take a blanket, pillow, yoga block, whatever you'd like to do to prop your tailbone, if that's helpful for your back or helpful just for your pelvis in general. Feel free, as I get my computer situated, to decide how you'd like to start class. And you might shift around within your seat until you're ready to close your eyes and arrive into stillness. If you'd rather not close the eyes, that's okay. Just keep the gaze soft as we draw our presence inward. And we'll begin to notice the sounds and textures of the breath. We'll begin to notice this space within the body. Maybe we can even begin to relax in certain areas, whether it be jaw, shoulders, hips, knees, feet. Maybe even softening into your palms. And for our focus for class today, we'll talk about this idea of time. Since we are in the yin poses for multiple minutes, it's always different, but it's longer than a flow. And so as we hold these poses and as we settle into the stillness of each shape, can we befriend this time, this construct of time, and enjoy the passage of time? Can we use time to our advantage? And just explore that topic tonight or today. We'll explore that theme. Enjoying the passage of time. How we might relate to it. How we might question it. There might be some highs and lows within this passage of time, but it is always constant. And it is always there. And can we imagine time almost as this bubble, right, holding ourselves there within that space? In the same way we might cuddle or cover ourselves with a blanket. In the same way we might put on cozy socks or slippers. How can we use time to our advantage in our practice and even in understanding our life's experiences? So as we take a few other breaths here, it's just arriving into our space, arriving into our body. Together, we'll open up our space with a few cleansing breaths. Together, let's inhale through the nose. And open the lips to exhale. Again, like that, another deep breath in. And another deep breath out. Now this third time, you might keep your hands relaxed within the lap, or you might gather them into prayer at heart center. You can take another cleansing breath just as we've done, or maybe join me for the sound of Om. But together we'll breathe in. Om. Very gently bowing the chin towards the chest. Taking a moment to allow your breath and vibrations to settle within the heart space, to reverberate off the walls of the inner body, and to seal our intentions for practice. So whenever you're ready, you can slowly open the eyes. You can bring the hands away. If you were laying down, you'll come back up to sit as we arrive into our first stretch. So we're going to start in deer. And if you're sit cross-legged, I'll mirror you as we bring our left shin in front of us and the right knee behind us. Okay, now, as we rotate internally into that right hip, you might need a blanket under the knee, a blanket under the ankle, maybe a blanket, a pillow, a prop underneath your hips, because our hips, you can even see we're tilting them, right? So just to have that support, it could be helpful. As I turn to the side, we'll begin to set our props up so that we can fold over that left shin. Now, whether it's yoga blocks or maybe 2 to 3 pillows or whatever you're using tonight, you'll just stack your props as high as you'd like or as low as you'd like so that we can feel supported within the stretch. And it takes a few breaths. You might have to readjust your props. You might have to readjust your body, right? Is there going to be more space or are you going to come pretty close? Just depends on what you need. And you'll get to make all these decisions yourself. But of course, if you have any questions, let me know. So as we fold over that left shin, you might notice your body basically over the shin, or you might be walking and leaning a little bit towards the left knee or a little bit more towards the left foot. That's okay too. Instead of folding and rounding into the spine, you might sit tall. You're still in the shape. You might instead wrap those pillows or blankets around you and just hold them around the body. Okay, so we'll start somewhere like that, somewhere in deer. No rush, but when you're ready, we'll close the eyes and arrive into stillness. From there, beginning to notice the first sensations in the front leg, back leg, spine. And as we observe, maybe taking note, can we then begin to soften into the space as we allow ourselves to support the stretch here. So can we begin to relax into the crown of the head, softening through the eyebrows or the eyes if they're squinting, and softening through the cheeks of the face as we unclench the teeth, relax the jaw, relax the tongue. And releasing through the sides of the neck as we relax the shoulders down the back. We might feel our heart space expand, the diaphragm, and softening through the upper, middle, and lower belly. And just as we release along the length of the spine. Relaxing into the muscles of your glutes. Softening into the hips, the thighs. Breathing into the skin back behind the knees as we release into the calves, down into the soles of the feet, where we find space within the toes and space within the fingers as the palms sit open. Now we might be arriving a little differently. And with this open space, we might be observing a little more closely. And as we stay in deer for a few more breaths, and taking this time in quiet to observe. And if you'd like to stay a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to do so. If you're choosing to release, we'll gently press down into the floor or into the props. And this is where we get to explore a little bit more space, a little bit more freedom here. Your hands might help unravel the legs. You might move some props out of your way. And the body might guide you to forward fold if that feels good for the body. And the body might guide you to lift up the arms. And sometimes we're going to say like, oh, I know my body likes to twist, so maybe I'll come into a twist. And other times we're just going to go along for the ride and let your body guide you. We don't always have to know. But after you feel like you've taken enough counter movement, even if it's cow and cat, we'll eventually arrive into a place of stillness. Whether you're seated and it looks like a meditative seat, maybe you're laying on your back or belly, maybe you're in child's pose. But we arrive into these pauses in between where we get to take this energetic snapshot as the physical experience of the fascia now contracts back and it begins to be absorbed by the muscle memory, the memory of the nervous system, and all layers in between. So just take another breath here. And if you'd like to stay in that rebound space a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to. If you're interested in coming into deer on the opposite side, we'll gently awaken. And after rebound, sometimes the body also wants some natural movement, so just go for it if the body calls for it. And then we'll move into deer. So now I'll face forward real quick. Right shin will come in front of us, left knee rotates behind us. Again, we might find that pillow or blanket to support both hips, or at least the right hip. And then you might take your blocks here, right? Maybe you don't need a pillow or blanket, but you might stack your blocks to support your forehead. Maybe you're going to use more of a pillow or bolster vertically to support your forehead, right? Or you choose to come down to fold. If you need anything or have any questions, let me know. Right shin in front, left knee behind. We're arriving into these stretches on our own terms. within our own parameters. We are looking to be comfortable and supported with the props, but we are also exploring these layers of discomfort. It's kind of a package deal. Yet it's through the discomfort of the stretch where we ultimately receive the comfort as the fascial tissue deknots, detangles. And it can breathe again fully. So as we settle into the shape, you might let your awareness explore all of those different body parts. And softening into each of those spaces. There is this serious quality of the practice. And I think it's also serious because of the way I talk about it and the way I might communicate it. However, we can allow the awareness to play. And as the awareness explores the structure of the body, relaxing into the jaw and then relaxing into the shoulders and then relaxing into the hips. It gets to explore, your awareness gets to explore the body almost as if it was a jungle gym. Softening through layers of bone and then layers of muscle, softening into the space of the organs. So within our experience of time, we get acts of devotion, we get dedication, and also play. Feel free to meditate on that and a few more breaths that were in deer, observing and listening in. And if you'd like to stay in deer a little longer, you're more than welcome to stay. But if you're ready to release, then gently press down into the floor, press down into our props. We'll start to walk ourselves up and out of the shape. Maybe even keep your legs in deer as your arms find some movement. You might help the legs unravel as you move some props around. And again, there's no, questions asked here. Whether the body stays seated, the body might bring you forward, the body might guide you to lay back down. Maybe you are laying down also, and you can hug the knees into the chest, lengthen the back body, which feels good after a fold. Maybe your legs straighten up towards the ceiling. Wherever you are, they can straighten, moving to the ankles. And then from there, we'll arrive into that rebound space, this moment of introspection, where your body can pause wherever it would like. Taking that moment to notice subtle sensation as the tissue contracts back. And just within this brief moment, can we reflect? Maybe tune into our awareness while listening more clearly. And if you'd like to stay here a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But whenever you're ready, we might begin to awaken. And no rush at all, but you'll come back up to sit. Feel free to get there however you'd like. Right? If you're in child's pose, you might be walking yourself up back to sit. If you're laying, you'll come up to sit. But it's only for us to transition, because essentially we're going to come to the belly and we're going to take a double stretch. And what I mean by that is 2 stretches back to back. And then we'll do rebound. Then we'll do the pause. So the first is not necessarily a stretch, but it guides us to work within the fascial tissues along the face. And I'll talk about that. And then from there, we're going to come into an arm stretch. So one at a time, we're going to let ourselves rotate, transition to the belly. And just keep a pillow or a blanket close by so that when we do come into the arm stretch, if we need it, it's there. But we won't use it just yet, just close. Now, once we're on the belly, of course, if you need a blanket underneath so that your hips are propped or your knees are propped, in case you need that, feel free. And then we're going to allow our left forearm to be parallel to the top of the mat. Left forearm parallel to the top of the mat. And if I were to do that, then I'm going to allow myself to turn to the left so that my right cheek will rest on the knuckles, which I know is kind of weird, but you're not going to make a strong fist, just a relaxed fist. There's different variations to this, so let me just start with variation 1. With the relaxed fist, I'll then place my right cheek to the mat, or on my hand, I should say. And I basically get to explore. Do I want to work within the fascia towards my ear, the middle of my face or cheek, or maybe more towards my lip, maybe towards my nose, maybe towards my jawline? It's really your choice depending on your face and what you're going to find. And as you let your cheek rest there, we get to soften, bring your legs as wide as you'd like. And you kind of get to tuck the chin down and pick the chin up, or you might massage into the knuckles here, moving the face in all different angles. But essentially, you might find a sweet spot. Any sensitive areas is tight fascia. And then you might just hover there in stillness in the same way you would, do acupuncture or when you work on a foam roller. Essentially, like our knuckles are the lacrosse ball right now. In the event that it's too deep, too quick, let your palm be flat. Both palms will stack one on top of another. You can still bring your cheek to the palm, and it's just a little bit more of a gentle sensation, but it's still there. So left arm is parallel to the top of the mat. Right cheek is on your knuckles as you look to the left. Again, unique experience for yourself, but notice if you're clenching the jaw, let it relax. Sometimes my back tightens here. Maybe yours is as well. Relax through the glutes. Let your legs relax as wide as they'd like. And then your right arm, let it soften wherever it wants, above the head, behind you, near you. What is good for that shoulder? Your choice. And we'll still breathe into the body here. And soften the eyes if they're squinting. We get to observe how the entire body responds, especially when we focus on a particular fascial tissue area. And there's no right or wrong. And so you might take a few more breaths here. Deepening the breath or lengthening the breath. And whenever you're ready, when you feel prepared, we're going to transition. So soften into the body once more. And then we'll slowly begin to pick up the chin and pick up the head. Now remember, this is a double stretch, so you might reach for that pillow or blanket near you. That left arm is going to come out to T. My back will come to the camera because I'm going to roll into that left shoulder, and now we're transitioning into open wing. And I'll flip forward in a second, but just so that you see, the left arm is behind, so you can't see it. Okay, so from there, if I do a little switcheroo, left arm comes out to T, you'll roll into the shoulder, stacking your knees, right? Maybe your knees come high into the chest first, if that's what is best for the back. You might notice subtle sensations in the face as the face rebounds. Now, if you need more of a stretch, you might straighten your legs and maybe hang out here. If you need more of a stretch, that top right knee will bend and the foot will come flat to the floor. Maybe that foot will transition to the front of the leg if that's what's best for your hips, or you might even find your own leg variation that you want to do. Your right hand will rest in front of the belly, or it'll come up and around and take a half bind behind the back. So feel free to explore. Your left hand palm will face up or face down. Do what's best for your elbow. And in the event that rolling into the shoulder is too much stretch too quick, stay flat on the belly and just keep the left arm out to T. And if you need anything from there, let me know. And the subtle sensations from the muscles, the fascial tissue within our face, right? Those will blend with the current sensations that we now feel in open wing. Whether you're stretching through the shoulder, the back, the hips, the diaphragm, the glutes. We all have our own unique experiences. And depending on where your body is holding the unnecessary tension, that is where you'll feel the fascial stretch first. And then from there, you can soften whenever you're ready. Letting go of any clenching or gripping. And just staying patient here, because this introspective space sometimes feels really natural to explore, and other times it might be like, what am I doing here? Right? So just be patient, observe, witness. That is why you're here. And we'll be here for a few more breaths. And then whenever you're ready, as we keep the left arm still, if the right arm is bounded behind the back, we'll slowly bring it in front. As you bring one leg on top of the other, we'll slowly roll out of that left arm. And we'll make our way onto our belly, where our arms might rest up above the head and our forearms might stack and our forehead can rest there. Maybe your arms rest on the floor back by the hips, or let them rest wherever is comfortable. And as we feel the release, you might stay in stillness. You might want to bend into the knees, kick up the feet, windshield wiper the legs as you rock the feet and knees from side to side. You're more than welcome to stay to the belly. You might roll onto the back. You might press your palms underneath the shoulders, and as you pull the heart forward, taking this to child's pose, where the knees can walk up, meet you halfway. Let the forehead relax. You choose where you'd like to rebound. At times we are teaching the body. Other times we are learning from the body. Giving ourselves this undivided attention here as you observe. Maybe notice the expansion within the breath. Feeling the imprint from those previous stretches. And if you'd like to stay and rebound a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But when you're ready, let's transition. No rush at all. Take any movements. We're going to transition back to the belly so that we can now massage into the left side of the face. So you might move that pillow or blanket that you were using for your head. That will come again to the top of the mat unless you're going to use it for this. Right forearm now comes to the mat, and then you'll look to your right so that your left cheek can now rest on the knuckles. Whether it's a gentle fist or you stack both hands and let your cheek rest on the knuckles flattened or bent, so your choice. But you're exploring whether the knuckles, rub along the parts of your face near your ears or your cheekbone or your jawline or your nose. Your feet could be as close together or as wide as your mat, whatever would guide you to relax. It's interesting to notice subconsciously what places within the body tend to tighten first. And as we notice, we might choose to relax and breathe there in those areas. And then whenever you're ready, we'll close the eyes. Beginning to observe whether you're letting the face sway side to side, lift the chin, tuck the chin, or you just continue to explore. Maybe you find a sweet spot. Let the body be still. Your left arm will relax wherever is comfortable. Making sure your breath is present. Our fascial tissue is threaded and webbed in one piece. So the tension in the face is connected to the tension in the head, in the neck, in the shoulders, through the ribs and the hips, all the way down to the feet, and vice versa. So being patient here, just a few more breaths. Maybe taking one more full inhale and exhale exactly on the point that you're at. And then whenever you're ready, we'll slowly begin to release the hands and gently lift up the chin, taking a breath. We might reach for that pillow or blanket for the head. And now the right arm comes out to T. So we'll be rolling into the right shoulder. But this time I'll just directly face the camera. So with the right arm out to T, we'll roll into the shoulder. We'll allow the knees maybe to start first by bending up and towards the chest. Legs can go long, one on top of the other. Left knee bends and the foot might be placed in any area in front of the right thigh, behind the right thigh. The more you roll open into the shoulder, the deeper the stretch. Where this left hand rests in front of you, kind of like a kickstand, or you'll lift up the arm and gently bind behind the back. Adjusting whenever you need to. Stillness does not mean we are stuck. But as we notice where the body is stretching the fascial tissue in this shape, we can begin to soften whenever our mind is ready. And as you check in with your breath, checking into the gaze at the backs of the eyelids. And sometimes we might be mesmerized here as the eyes look and see the backs of the eyelids. And sometimes it's just a clear blank canvas, but we might notice shades of darkness, shades of lightness. Staring with the mind's eye, staring far out into that distant space. This use of time allows us to get closer towards our bodies, understanding these deeper layers that are really present with us at every moment. And a few more breaths in open wing. And as we keep the right arm still, if the left arm was behind the back, we might reach the arm up. And take your time as we let it float all the way down to the floor. One leg will come back to the other, and as the legs straighten, we'll roll out of this right shoulder and onto the belly. Your hands and arms will relax wherever you'd like them to. You might take a cleansing breath or notice the spine releasing, relaxing, nervous system recalibrating. And again, if you want to rock into the hips with the legs touching the floor, you can. You might kick up the feet and rock into the hips that way. Any other intuitive movements, counter stretches? Does the spine extend forward like in Sphinx or low cobra? Does the body take you all the way back to child's pose, down dog, cat cow? Maybe nothing, and the body just settles to rebound. And sometimes you might want some counter movement along the way. Pausing to observe, feeling the ripple effect now, the subtle sensations. Just like the plucking of a guitar string, playing the chord, violin, harp, cello, all those types of instruments, just like the fascia here. And softening even in your rebound pose. And if you'd like to stay a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But whenever you're ready, we'll gently begin to press down into the floor, or if you're not yet in child's pose, you might guide yourself there just to transition. And then eventually we'll all come back up to sit. And no rush. Once we are seated, we haven't been here in a while. So if the arms want to stretch, if the body wants to move in the same way your body tells you when you're thirsty or when you're hungry or when you're tired, right? We're just following those same, I don't want to say involuntary, but those same messages. Okay, so as we're doing that, we're going to transition into a forward fold, but there'll be a couple options. So bear with me as I explain. Now, because we're coming into a forward fold, you might take a pillow or blanket and prop your tailbone, right? Your forward fold might literally be here where the spine is neutral, or you might hinge a little bit, just depending on your body and what you feel today. So option one would be to come into butterfly. Now, if you are taking butterfly and you have blocks or pillows and blankets, you might, bring the blocks inside of your butterfly shape, outside of your butterfly shape, your choice with whatever you're going to place on top. Instead of coming into butterfly, You might choose to come into diamond, where you walk your feet out a little bit more forward, a little bit different of a shape now that there's more space within the hips and backs of the knees. So again, your props can be here, your props can be here. Right? Maybe your props are here. Maybe your props are here. Okay, so that's option 2. Option 1, butterfly. Option 2, diamond. Option 3, if bending at the knees is just not accessible today, straighten your legs. And in yin, a forward fold is called caterpillar. So you take your blocks to the outsides of the knees or thighs, and then you'll build your own tower here as you support the body and fold. Or maybe you stay at the forearms. Okay, so sometimes you won't know which one to do until you try all 3. Sometimes you're in the middle of one and all of a sudden you get the thought, oh, I should be in the next one. Feel free to move and transition. We're literally holding time and space for ourselves to explore and untangle the fascial tissue, right? Those knots or adhesions, the technical term, within the body. So if you have any questions, let me know. No right or wrong. Just choosing the forward fold today, where you might be stretching deeply until a body part asks you to pull back a little bit. Maybe the body part asks you to deepen the stretch. So you'll tune into those signaling and that messaging. But we don't want to stretch too deeply, too quickly. Taking your time, we'll close our eyes or at least keep the gaze soft. And then we get to settle into stillness. Not only do we get to feel the release of the fascial tissue, we get to breathe into all of these avenues and channels within the body, where there is a current of water through the fascia, and blood and oxygen and nutrients and cells. And just like the running of a hose, if we tie the hose, the water stops, the flow stops. So if we're clenching the jaw or clenching the quads or clenching the feet, we are hindering that space of flow. So softening is a huge component here. Again, it is that parameter that helps us decide if we need to stretch more or stretch less, or that we are fine and perfect exactly where we are. Our fascial fibers are like the string connecting can to can, as if we were to play telephone. The cans are all of the cells within the body. The cells within the body of our nervous system, circulatory system, lymphatic, endocrine, immune, all of it send and receive those messages through the fascial tissue. And we get to powerfully observe the body function. We get to enhance communication, increase flexibility, range of motion. External and internal features just by stillness and quiet. Sometimes being so amazed by the body will guide you into a meditative place. A few more breaths here. Maybe taking one more breath until you're ready to slowly begin to release. Now, because we're releasing from the stretch, it's important to move slow and mindfully. The body might sit tall, the arms might stretch. We might gently move some props out of the way and face any direction within the room. And taking any movements. If the body stays seated, if the body comes forward, if the body lays back down. It's essentially finding this comfortable connection, or maybe we can describe it like a homey connection. In the same way you'd want to get comfortable when sleeping or sitting, allowing the body to get comfortable here. As we then pause within this space. And taking this rebound as you feel the energetic reset and the physical reset. If you'd like to stay in rebound a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. If you're ready to awaken from rebound, you might find another movement or two until we gently come back up to sit. No rush at all. Take any movements along the way. Whatever feels good. Right? We don't have enough practices, or at least I don't have enough except Yin, that just guide me to do whatever I want, whenever I want. So there's no strict rules, right? There's just framework, and we get to follow the framework intuitively or freely or whatever other word you want to put there. So let's come into another stretch before we take Shavasana. And that's going to be something most likely with a blanket, unless you have a perfect bolster for this. And again, this will be options. So you might take a blanket that you have and fold it into like one long rectangle, one long rectangle where your spine, your head will be here, and then your spine is long. Arms will take cactus at that point so that we have the shoulder blades, right, opening up into that back window, melting along the edges of your pillow blanket. You know what I mean? In the event, though, that you're doing that and your head is so low that it's uncomfortable for the neck, you still might bring a pillow on top just so that you're supported, right? And real quick, in case that's your first time coming into this, essentially you're going to lay back down and then your arms just come right off of that blanket, okay? In the event that you're not interested in the vertical formation, you can keep that pillow up there. take it in the horizontal. And then horizontally, again, your shoulder blades will come down. So you're just going to have to find the sweet spot for your shoulder blades to be supported. And then again, head relaxes, arms are in cactus or slightly bent. In the event your shoulders are more comfortable here, still stretching, but more comfortable to have the arms opening out, great. If you need the arms lowered by the hips, also great. One arm might be higher than the other. Do what's best for each shoulder. And as you enter the stretch, you might bring the knees bent, feet flat to the floor until you'd like to straighten one leg or both legs here. And no rush, so doing what is best at any point in time. Noticing the way the body's adapting, acclimating, settling here. If you haven't softened into your shape, begin to do so. And staying present here. As we enjoy this passage of time, it holds space for us to explore, experience, learn, and grow as we evolve within our own self-discovery. Whether that be from the physical body or the meditation in the mind or the space of the heart. And we'll be here for a few more breaths. And then whenever you're ready, You might take another breath exactly where you are. And if the legs have elongated, we can bend one knee at a time, bringing the feet flat to the floor. Where you might gently windshield wiper the knees and rocking them to the right and to the left. Your arms will lower down near the hips. And then as you gently roll to one side of the body, you might press down into one arm or the other. Begin to walk yourself up slowly. Because of the back and spine stretch, you might naturally fold just for a brief moment. If that feels good in terms of counter movement, your hands might rub along the feet or massage into the calves or massage into the quads, rolling the shoulders up and down. So let's take our final movements here. Transitioning from that stretch as our final rebound is our Shavasana. And if you're comfortable on your back, you'll lay on your back. If you're comfortable on your belly, do so. If you're comfortable laying on your side, do so. You might take a pillow, blanket, or whatever props you'd like to feel supported within Shavasana. No right or wrong. But as we allow your arms to relax, legs to relax, we'll settle into stillness, closing the eyes, and fully here, absorbing our practice, sitting within the company of our own space. And as we welcome ourselves into the mindful, quiet moments of Shavasana. very gently. Let's begin to deepen the breath. And as we notice the way in which our bodies have relaxed here. Within your own time, noticing the placement of the hands and feet. We can begin to wiggle into the fingers and toes, roll into the wrists and ankles. And then reaching the arms up and above the head, taking a full body stretch. You might bend the knees into the chest and wrap around your shins, maybe the backs of the thighs as you rock gently side to side. Whenever you're ready, we'll roll either to the left or to the right. And as you rest on your side body here, noticing the release of the back and a breath of fresh air along the spine. You're welcome to stay as you end practice or gently press down into the floor and come all the way back up to sit. We'll find stillness and take one more moment, breath of reflection. As we sit not only here within our body, but we sit within the space of the mind and the space of the heart, enjoying and honoring our passage of time together. Hands can stay relaxed within the lap, or hands might gather into prayer. And closing with one cleansing breath or the sound of Om. Together we'll breathe in. Gently bowing the chin to the chest. Thank you for practicing with me today, being elevated through yoga. Namaste.